So I want to say this, right? And this is something that so I want to let's shout out our boy real quick. Fan of the show, listener of the show, former guest of the show, the one and only Bad Bobby himself, Billy the Bobbin Nichols, Billy Biceps, Billy Bobby Rule,
Bill.
that Bad Bill. So I went to get my haircut by Bill one day. Mike legit had just gotten his haircut before I did, right? And I'm sitting there with talking to Bill, talking about like people I've had on the show and how the show is going. FYI, Bill did come up with the name for the show. I don't know if he told you
No
that, Mike.
kidding. That's
Yeah, it
awesome.
was his idea. It was the name was his idea. But I mean, I've already it's already copyrighted, Bill. So tough shit, buddy. But either way, so Bill told me about Mike, and the first thing that came to mind for me was this: is that and me and Bill have talked about this, is that there's so many people out there that say that they are doing something or they're gonna do something, and it's all BS and nothing comes from it. I absolutely love and respect the fact that you said you were gonna do something and you did it. You know what I mean? Like you said you were gonna write a book. You knew like there's so many people out there. Like there are some people that you love and love you still, but that didn't want you to write the book because they would be
Sure.
envious of you, and it comes from a place of jealousy. Dude, we get the same stuff here at the show. I remember when I was fighting and stuff, like at first I was telling people about it, and I really like wanted to, it's more of a way of talking myself into making sure that I did it because I had to back up what I said, right? Like there was a lot of stuff like that. So for you to be able to stick by your laurels and see this through to the end, it takes a ton of commitment and perseverance, a lot of character. You should be very proud of that, man. And it's
Hey,
awesome
thanks.
that no, of course, man. And it's awesome that you were able to get this done and you have a published book. This is something you can take with you forever. Like, and it's a cool experience to see what happens when you totally commit yourself to something. So, but that being said, part of the process, right? Like, did you think when you're writing 5,000 words a day, like the fact that you said you haven't been able to commit to that since then, is it partially because, like, dude, you're burning yourself the hell out, right? Like 5,000 a day.
Yeah, how many
That's
pages is that?
that's insanity, is what it is. Justin, if you read 5,000 words, your freaking balls would explode.
That
All
would be
right,
the
like,
most words I'd. It'd be
yeah,
my record number of words in a day, in a
that
year.
has to average like 100 pages, right? 5,000 words.
Nah,
You
it's
know,
not
like
quite that much.
10?
Yeah, about that. Somewhere around there.
Yeah,
10
about 500,
pages.
500 words a page. Remember, like writing papers?
Yeah, something like
All
that.
right, okay. I mean, dude, come on. Expelled from two high schools,
But the
guys. I can't
testament, like you said, which is
literally can't tell you
interesting,
last time I did a report. Go ahead, Justin.
how like you got through like 25% of or 50% of so many different projects. Like former guest of the show, Mickey Batts, he's a writer, and I've read like two different books he's written that he's never finished, but they're like 25%. And I was like, this is good. And then I never
Yeah.
hear from him again. I get like, he sent me something else. It's like 18% done. I'm like, this is good. I like this. So like try and try again. And then you finally sit down and just, if you knock it all out and then just start whittling it and perfecting it. And like, it's like making a sword. You like harden
Yeah.
the steel, but you got to get that original, you got to
Yeah.
get it out. That's
Yeah.
Yeah,
awesome.
well, like I don't know about you guys. When I was a kid, I played my action figures all the time.
Dude,
And
all
like,
the time. Dude, and
you know,
Army
hell
Men,
yeah. Yeah,
Legos.
dude.
Dude, how awesome was it? I was a big fan of like setting up, like making like like a Lego thing out of like all the Legos I had, mix and matching, maybe a boat here, a castle there, you know what I mean? And then throwing all that together, maybe get a G.I. Joe, maybe a couple Army Men. Let's go.
Take your
Like, dude,
sister's Barbie.
I mean, I slept with her, but either way, no big deal. It
The
was
Barbie.
Barbara. It was Barbara to me.
Yeah,
Right.
the Barbie.
You slept with the Barbie.
Yeah. No, of course. It was more of me and Ken. But either way, okay, so yeah, so like you're saying, you're playing with action fit, like in your mind. Like, how many times have you set up the scenario in your mind of like you're doing all that shit, and then there's a storyline behind it? Is that kind of your thought, Mike?
Well, I was just gonna say that like you create these worlds as a kid when you're using your imagination. The ending is not nearly as important as it is when you're writing, and you kind of like you build the sandbox, right? You have all these
Yeah.
characters, and you have your toys in there, and you're setting this up, and he's the king of this, and this guy can shoot fire, and you got to make it make sense at the end, and that's the challenge. You know, you get to that point,
Yeah.
20%, 75% done, and then you're like, okay, I got to bring this home. And so maybe you're 75% done in terms of like word count, but in terms of like the difficulty of the story, it's like you've been just kind of scratching the surface. Bringing it home is that's where it's at, man. That's the juice right there. And you know, for me, it was like, it was like I came out on the other end of that thing, you know, beaten and bloody, and just had my butt kicked from just kind of like persevering, you know, just kind of like that image of that person like fighting against the wind to just keep walking forward. And it was like, I just want to get to where I'm going. And then from there, I can stop and look back and see what kind of mess I left.
Yeah.
And I was just lucky the mess wasn't that bad. The mess was worth cleaning up.